Shalom. I want to begin a lesson off by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Akakudash. Double honors unto the apostles, double honors unto the other bishops, a great millstone, who've taught me this truth through the spirit and the power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Peace and salutations to the brothers out there pushing this truth, the 100% truth out there on the highways and the byways, the Akim, as well as you few sisters out there listening and learning. The Akwati, also I say Shalom. It is your brother, Kharatazaka Bar, back with another lesson through the spirit. Lord willing, in peace and sincerity. I just want to come to y'all with some Lord willing edifying regarding, you know what I'm saying, just some of the, really just part of the curses, you know, just some of the oppression that our people have endured and had to go through. And then just, once again, showing you the hatred and the oppression that the Lord put us into the hand of our enemies. You know what I'm saying? Esau, Edom. And just showing you that the northern kingdom receive affliction as well, because, you know, you have a lot of Israelite camps out here. I don't want to say a lot, but you have some out here, or just Israelites in general, who don't like to acknowledge our brothers, the Latinos, as well as the Native Americans, as being Israelites, even though they went through oppression, just like the so-called Negroes or black people went through as well. You know, they went through oppression, captivity, just like we did. So, you know what I'm saying? Of course, once we get to that point in time, the Lord's going to reveal those people and those nations, rightfully so. But just showing you once again that Esau, Edom does not fuck with you, Jake. So I'm going to go ahead and play this and mute myself. So, like, I accidentally ended the lesson. I meant to mute myself.
Hanging tree of Goliad County. It was a site of extrajudicial executions. In other words, this is where they lynched Mexicans.
How many Mexicans were?
Some say 80, 90, 100, but we really don't even know. And of course, on the other side of there is a famous whipping post where they would tie Mexicans and other people, blacks, and whip them for transgressions against the social order. Over there, we have a tree where it is said that they hung the blacks because, I don't know, it's kind of crazy. Even, you know, in Texas, we had standards. You can't lynch a black person from the same tree that you lynch a brown person. You know, it just ain't fitting. It ain't fitting. It just ain't fitting. This is the kind of crazy racism that fueled all this. And why? It was economics. And it was also the fact that they wanted our land. In fact, they came here to take our land, and they were very successful. It's a tourist thing now here. Everything's named Hanging Tree around here. But, I mean, when you really think about it, it should give you the creeps.
This is, this is horrible. You know?
Yeah, it is horrible. It is what it is. It is what it is.
The events that took place here in Goliad weren't unique. Over the next 70 years, there were 871 documented lynchings of Mexican Americans in 14 Western states.
This is the famous Hanging Tree.
You can only imagine. Those are just the things that they're going to tell you, right? Because you can tell nowadays, you know, the Lord is making it known the things that these people have done on the face of the earth. Just look at the history of Mexico. You know, they was pretty much conquered or I don't want to say taken into captivity, but taken under rulership under Spain at the beginning of the Americas, right? When Cristobal Colon and stuff like that came over here. And, you know, you had the three I want to say it's either the three heads or the three horns, where they had a small horn that rose up. And of course, those three powers that ruled over here in North America was Great Britain, France, and Spain. Right around the time of Louisiana Purchase, well, not the Louisiana Purchase, but around the time of America being born, around 1700, 1700. You know, you had three main countries that were ruling: Great Britain, France, Spain. Rulership of North America. Great Britain, France, and Spain fought a series of imperial wars to divide and control North America, resulting in distinct territorial shifts formalized by the Treaty of Paris in 1763. Britain gained dominance over the East. France was removed from the mainland, North America, and Spain controlled the West. And then this is 1600s, going into Great Britain, 1500s to 1700s, and the 1500s to the 1800s. So we can go down to Spain. Territory controlled Florida, the America Southwest, and after 1762, the Louisiana Territory west of the Mississippi River. Key regions centered in colonial outposts such as St. Augustine, Florida, the oldest continuously inhabited European settlement in the U.S., as well as missions in present-day Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, and California, which you have heavy Mexican presence down there, right? And in addition to that, you got to realize, go back into the Aztecs and stuff like that, and the Mayans, they wasn't speaking Spanish. You know, they were speaking their native tongue, whatever they were speaking, when they came over here as part of the 10 tribes of the Northern Kingdom, when they fled out of Assyrian captivity, right? What language did the Mayans? The ancient Mayans did not just speak one language, but rather a family of 30 distinct languages, right? So they had their own little, you know what I'm saying, little heritage or culture. Now, I don't know, like, the specific time period of when the Mayans and the Aztecs and stuff like that was over, but that's, you know what I'm saying, those are ancient, quote-unquote, Mexican tribes are like parts of the 10 tribes. The Aztecs spoke classical Nahuatl, which had a rich agglutinating grammar where prefixes and suffixes were attached to root words. Many common words used in modern English have roots in Nahuatl, having been borrowed first into Spanish and then global use. So I'm just proving the point that they were speaking their own language. When did Mexicans start speaking Spanish? Mexicans began speaking Spanish following the Spanish conquest of the Aztec Empire, which culminated in 1521, right? So they got conquered and oppressed by Spanish-speaking Edomites. You know, people get this mixed up. You have a difference between Latinos and Hispanics, which I'm going to show y'all this real quick, because I didn't used to know the difference between Latinos and Hispanics. Hispanic broadly refers to people who speak Spanish or trace their ancestry to Spanish-speaking countries, right? Spain. While Latino, because I believe Cristobal Colon was, he might have been Spanish. Oh, Salaki, he was from Italy. Yeah, he went down to those areas though. Was that nigga from Spain? I don't want to go deep into it. But he was over there Europe. That's what I'm trying to, get the point across. While Latino in its variations like Latina or Latinx refers to geography, encompassing anyone with origins in Latin America, right? Which is where the 10 tribes were dispersed when they came over here. Let me get that, because I already had that pulled up from camp yesterday. 2nd Ezra 13 and 40, it says those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea, the king, whom Salmanasseh, the king of Assyria, led away captive, right? Because the northern kingdom, after the split of the kingdoms, after King Solomon, he split into the northern and the southern kingdom. The Israel tribe, the southern kingdom being Judah, the kingdom of Judah, and then the northern kingdom being the kingdom of Israel. The Israelites, which I'm referring to as the northern kingdom, went under Assyrian captivity, and they were oppressed first. It says, and he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land, right? So, which is why you have natives over here saying we was over here in this land first, the Native Americans, the Gadites, as well as the tribe of Reuben, the Simeonites. I said Simeonites, Seminole Indians. It says, but they took this counsel amongst themselves that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt, which is talking about the Americas, man. And it says 10 tribes because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that Gad was one of those tribes as well. But of course, the tribe of Gad was lost. It says, well, no, Salakia, I'm tripping. Not Gad, but that would have been Levi. Salakia, I'm not gonna go into it because I don't know enough about it, so I don't want to make a incorrect breakdown at the moment. But if any brothers come across this Bible shop, please correct me. It says, but I'm pretty sure it would be Levi because Levi is Haiti, and Haiti, the Haitians are on the same island as Dominican Republic, so that would make sense. That even though that's what I'm saying, even though the Haitians are so-called Southern Kingdom, they are dispersed over there around the Caribbean. But if I am wrong, Bible Shop, please correct me in the comments, brother. Verse 41 though, but they took this counsel amongst themselves that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt. So when you have natives who actually say this is our land, they actually was the first people over there. Says that they might there keep, and Cristobal Colon has a counsel of this in his writings. Because that nigga didn't find shit. How can you find something that was already inhabited by another group of people? But as Esau Edom, the victors write history, says that they might there keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land. And they entered into Euphrates by the narrow passages of the river. Why do you have accounts of, people finding Israelite script over there in those areas, South America and the islands and stuff like that. Because like you just said, they kept their statutes when they came over. Now going back, this is a pretty good graphic showing you that even though it's not very clear. Here we go. Hispanic includes Spain. Spanish are not Israelites. Not to say that there aren't any Jakes over there, because we've been dispersed amongst all the nations. But we say Latino for a reason, because these are actually Israelites that's included in these categories. Brazil, French Guyana, Guadeloupe, Martinique. You know, those are nations that's in the Caribbean. You know, Haiti, Saint Barthélemy, and Saint Martin. Does not include Spain, and of course the in between. But those are Latin countries. They just speak Spanish. You know. But I just wanted to get my point across. But yeah, 1521, right? So after we came out of rulership over there, you know, Esau Edom got their dominion back, which is just the revived Roman Empire. However, the shift to Spanish was a gradual process that took centuries. While the Spanish established their colonial presence in the early 16th century, indigenous languages like Nahuatl remained dominant for a long time. The transition to Spanish occurred in distinct phases. You know, that just happens. That's the type of stuff that happens when you are conquered by people. You gradually take on their customs and assimilate, which is why you have Mexicans who are over there, who are light as most Edomites sometimes, who think they actually white, and they'll make fun of the darker Jakes, right? Spain, 1513 to 1821, controlled Florida, the American Southwest, and after 1762, the Louisiana Territory west of the Mississippi River. I read that heavily influenced the architectural, cultural, and geographic naming conventions of the American West and Florida, right? And then you also have a very famous Spanish general, I believe, conquistador, right? He's a Edomite, you know. Spanish conquistador and former governor of New Spain is believed to be an Edomite, you know. But he was over there in that land. See, look. Spanish conquistador, military commander, explorer, captain, general, and writer who led an expedition that caused the fall of the Aztec Empire and brought large portions of what is now mainland Mexico under the rule of the King of Castile in the early 16th century. And we learned about him when we was in, school and whatnot. Cortez was part of the generation of Spanish explorers and conquistadors who began the first phase of the Spanish colonization of the Americas, right? So you know this nigga was an Edomite. Because all they do is covet fields. But let me get this real quick, Salaki. Micah 50 and verse 33. For you Jakes out here. Actually, verse 31. Behold, I am against thee, O thou most proud, saith Yahweh, the most high power of hosts. For thy day is come, the time that I will visit thee. And the most proud shall stumble and fall, the Edomites. And none shall raise him up, and I will kindle a fire in his cities, and it shall devour all round about him. Thus saith Yahweh of hosts, the children of Israel, the northern kingdom, and the children of Judah, the southern kingdom, were oppressed together. And we just show an example of that in the video I played, Salaki. And all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go. Their Redeemer is strong. Who is our Redeemer? Yahweh Hashem El Shah. The Lord Yahweh of hosts is his name. He shall thoroughly plead their cause, that he may give rest to the land and disquiet the inhabitants of Babylon. A sword is upon the Chaldeans, saith Yahweh, and upon the inhabitants of Babylon, America, and upon her princes, and upon her wise men. A sword is upon the liars, and they shall dote. A sword is upon her mighty men, and they shall be dismayed. A sword is upon their horses, and upon their chariots, and upon all the mingled people that are in the midst of her, and they shall become as women. A sword is upon her treasures, and they shall be robbed. Right? So you people out here who want to go and be with Babylon the Great, you're going to fall with Babylon the Great. And let me get this real quick. Revelation 13, verse 10, verse 9. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. Now let me go here, because we just read an account of an Edomite conquistador, Edomite general of Spain, who led the conquer of the Aztecs, Israelites, right? Woe unto him that Salaki. Let me just get this. Here we go. Habakkuk 2, a verb, because I have spoiled many nations all around them, and for the violence of the land. Verse 9, 2 and 9. Woe to him that coveteth and evil covetousness to his house, that he may set his nest on high, that he may be delivered from the power of evil. Thou hast consulted shame to thy house by cutting off many people, and hast sinned against thy soul. For the stone shall cry out of the wall, and the beam out of the timber shall answer it. Woe to him that buildeth a town with blood, and establisheth a city by iniquity. Is that not what they did by conquering the Aztec Empire? The royal arms of Castile. So they came from over there in the eastern part and oppressed so-called Aztecs, which are the Issacharites. The Mexican-American War, also known in the United States as the American War, which is what he was talking about in the video, as the Mexican War, and in Mexico as the United States intervention in Mexico. April 25th, 1846 to February 2nd, 1848 was an invasion of Mexico by the United States. Neither do he keep at home. It followed the 1845 American annexation of Texas, which Mexico still considered its territory because it refused to recognize the treaties of Velasco signed by President Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna after he was captured by the Texian army during the 1836 Texas Revolution. The Republic of Texas was de facto an independent country, but most of its Anglo-American citizens who had moved from the United States to Texas after 1822 wanted to be annexed by the United States. And look how many casualties they had. 18,000 to 35,000. Right? Because thou has love, blood shall pursue thee. You know? And the Lord remembers all these things that you've done to his people, man. That goes without a doubt. Let me see. But you can't sit up here and say we didn't deserve this oppression and the curses, because we transgressed against the Lord first and foremost. Deuteronomy 28 and 45. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee and shall pursue thee and overtake thee till thou be destroyed, because thou hast hearkened this not unto the voice of Yahweh thy God, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee. And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever. Right? Which is why we're given into the hands of our enemies. But the Lord is going to return the favor upon their own head. Let me get this and I'm going to close it off. It says, Obadiah 1 and 10, for thy violence against our brother Jacob, meaning all the Israelites, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever, regarding the Esau Edom. Okay? You all can read this chapter at your own leisure, you know, because this goes into the Lord humbling and destroying the house of Esau Edom. So, that being said, man, Lord willing, the lessons edifying to us out there listening and watching. Or Salaki, let me get this again real quick, I did want to pull this out. Let me see. Where's that at? Isaiah 11 and 13. Because we're not going to have an evil eye towards our brother in the kingdom. You know, we're going to put that to rest. That's a part of the curses. We're not going to be, look at a northern kingdom brother and be like, no, I don't know that nigga. That's not my brother. You're not going to have strife among Jake. Isaiah 11 and 20 and 12. Isaiah 11 and 12, and he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. The envy also of Ephraim, which is the head tribe of the northern kingdom, shall depart, and the adversaries of Judah, which is the head tribe of the southern kingdom, shall be cut off. Ephraim shall not envy Judah, and Judah shall not vex Ephraim. Okay? So, with that being said, Lord willing, those edifying listeners, those out there listening, watching, ended off by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, HaKadosh. Until next time, I say Shalom, Israel, Shalom. And as always, one day close to the kingdom, man. Keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing. Shalom, Israel, Shalom. And Shabbat Shalom.